In 1980, Diana Spencer was hiding a terrible secret. She had become pregnant months before her engagement to Prince Charles. At just 19 years old, inexperienced and terrified, she gave birth to her son Michael in complete secrecy. But no one ever saw him. Diana gave the baby to a safe family immediately after birth, keeping him far from royal life. The child who grew up as Michael Harrison never knew his true identity for 44 years. When documents left by his adoptive mother revealed the shocking truth, his life changed forever. What was the real reason behind Diana's sacrifice? How much did this decision cost her? It was March 15th, 2024, when Michael Harrison's world changed forever. The 44-year-old architect was cleaning out his late adoptive mother's attic in their family home in Edinburgh when he discovered a locked wooden box hidden beneath old blankets. Eleanor Harrison had passed away 3 months earlier, taking what he thought were all her secrets with her. The box was heavier than it looked, secured with an old brass lock that had rusted over the decades. Michael found the key taped to the bottom, wrapped in tissue paper that had yellowed with age. His wife Emma stood beside him as he turned the key, both of them expecting to find old jewelry or family photographs. What they found instead would shatter everything Michael believed about his life. The first item was a birth certificate, not the one Michael had always known, but another one with different details. According to this document, he had been born on July 12, 1980, not the February date he had always celebrated as his birthday. The mother's name was listed as Diana Frances Spencer. The father's name was left blank. "This has to be a mistake," Emma whispered, staring at the document. "Diana Spencer, that's Princess Diana, isn't it?" Michael's hands were shaking as he lifted the next item, a bundle of letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. The handwriting was elegant, feminine, and desperate. The first letter was dated July 15th, 1980, just 3 days after the birth certificate. "My dearest Eleanor, I cannot express how grateful I am for what you're doing. Taking Michael is the most difficult decision I've ever made, but I know it's the only way to keep him safe. Please tell him when he's old enough that his mother loved him more than life itself, and that everything I did was to protect him from a world that would never accept him." The letter was signed simply D, but what Diana could never have known was that the secret wouldn't stay buried forever. Michael dropped the letter, his face draining of color. This can't be real. There has to be some explanation. Maybe Eleanor knew someone named Diana Spencer. Maybe it's not her. Emma picked up another item from the box, a small silver bracelet with an engraving, "To my precious son, with all my love, Mother." The hallmark showed it was made by Asprey & Co., the same jeweler that had served the royal family for generations. Beneath the bracelet were photographs. Diana, unmistakably younger than in any public photos Michael had ever seen, holding a newborn baby. Her face was thin from exhaustion, but her expression was one of pure love and devastating sadness. In one photo, she was kissing the baby's forehead. In another, she was handing him to an older woman who looked exactly like a young Eleanor Harrison. The final photograph showed Diana walking away from the camera, her shoulders shaking with sobs. "Oh my God," Emma breathed. "Michael, I think you might be Princess Diana's son." Michael stared at the photographs, trying to process what he was seeing. The baby in Diana's arms had the same distinctive cleft in his chin that Michael saw in the mirror every day, the same dark hair, the same nose shape. But how could this be possible? How could Princess Diana have had a secret child that no one knew about? The answer came in the form of another letter, this one longer and more detailed. It was dated March 1981, just weeks before Diana's engagement to Prince Charles was officially announced. "Eleanor, I've made the hardest decision of my life. I'm going to marry Charles, and I'm going to become Princess of Wales. But I could never bring Michael into this world. The pressure, the scrutiny, the dangers, it would destroy him. Charles must never know about Michael's existence. The royal family must never know. Michael is safer with you, living a normal life than he would ever be as my acknowledged son. Please burn these letters after you read them. Please never tell Michael who I am, unless something happens to me and he needs to know the truth for his own protection." Michael's legs gave out, and he sank into Eleanor's old armchair. 44 years of his life suddenly made sense in a way that was both illuminating and devastating. why Eleanor had always been evasive about his birth parents, why she had moved them from London to Edinburgh when he was just 2 years old, why she had always seemed nervous whenever Princess Diana appeared on television. She knew, Michael said quietly. Eleanor knew the whole time, and she never told me. Emma was reading through more of the letters, her face growing pale. Michael, there's more. Diana, she kept writing to Eleanor for years. She sent money for your education, for your needs. She watched over you from a distance. One letter from 1985 caught Michael's attention. Diana had written about watching him from across the playground at his school during a chance visit to Edinburgh. She had been there for an official engagement, but she had specifically requested to drive past his primary school. He's so beautiful, Eleanor, so smart and kind. I watched him help a smaller child who had fallen down, and I knew you had raised him to be everything I hoped he would become. It breaks my heart that I can't hold him, but I know this was the right choice. He's safe, and that's all that matters. Diana had written about Michael's graduation from university, his wedding to Emma, even his success as an architect. Eleanor had been sending her updates all along, with Diana's knowledge and blessing. Michael realized that this woman he had never known had been a silent presence in his entire life, loving him from afar and ensuring his well-being without ever being able to claim him as her son. But Diana's letters revealed something even more shocking. She hadn't made this decision alone. Patricia Caldwell had delivered Michael in complete secrecy at a private clinic outside London. Only 3 people had been present at his birth: Diana, Dr. Caldwell, and a midwife who had signed confidentiality agreements that were still legally binding. Thomas Whitmore, who would later become Diana's security advisor, had arranged Michael's placement with Eleanor Harrison. He had created false documents, established a new identity, and made sure that no trail could ever lead back to Diana. According to the letters, Diana had chosen Eleanor specifically because she was a childless widow who had worked as a nanny for aristocratic families. She understood discretion, loyalty, and how to raise a child with proper value. Eleanor had agreed to take Michael not for money, but because she had seen how desperate Diana was to protect her child. The most revealing letter was dated August 1997, just days before Diana's death in Paris. Eleanor, if something happens to me, please make sure Michael knows the truth. I've left instructions with my solicitor about a trust fund that will provide for his future. But more importantly, I want him to know that giving him up was not abandonment. It was the greatest act of love I was capable of. I want him to know that he has 2 brothers, William and Harry, who would welcome him with open arms if they knew he existed. But the choice of whether to reveal himself must be his alone. I have no right to disrupt his life further than I already have. Diana had died 3 days after writing that letter, taking her secret with her to the grave. Michael spent the next several hours reading through every document in the box. There were medical records showing his blood type and other genetic markers that could be verified. There were receipts for the trust fund Diana had established, which had been accumulating interest for over 2 decades. There were even photographs of Diana at various royal events, with tiny marks on them indicating where she had spotted Michael in crowds during her public appearances. The woman the world had mourned as the people's princess had been watching over her secret son for his entire life, never able to acknowledge him publicly, but never forgetting him privately. Emma found the most devastating item at the bottom of the box: a birthday card Diana had written but never sent, dated July 12, 1997, Michael's 17th birthday. My darling son, today you turn 17, and I am so proud of the young man you've become. I wish I could tell you happy birthday in person, wish I could give you the guidance and love that every mother should give her child. Instead, I watch you from afar and marvel at your strength, your kindness, your intelligence. Eleanor has done a better job raising you than I ever could have. You are everything I hoped you would be, and more. Happy birthday, my precious boy. All my love, always and forever, Mother. The card had been found in Diana's personal effects after her death, but no one had understood its significance. Michael was overwhelmed by the magnitude of what he had discovered. Not only was he Princess Diana's secret son, but he was the older brother of the current Prince of Wales, William, and Prince Harry. He was technically in line for the throne, though his unofficial status meant that claim would never be recognized. But the revelation raised enormous questions. Should he come forward? Should he tell William and Harry that they had an older brother they had never known about? Should he reveal Diana's secret to the world? The decision was taken out of his hands when Emma accidentally mentioned their discovery to her sister during a phone call. Within hours, the news had spread through their small community, and by the next morning, reporters were gathering outside their Edinburgh home. Dr. Andrew Finlay, a genetics expert at the University of Edinburgh, offered to conduct DNA tests to verify Michael's claims. The results, when they came back 2 weeks later, were conclusive. Michael Harrison was indeed the biological son of Diana Spencer. The story broke in the international media like a bombshell. Princess Diana's secret son revealed after 44 years became the headline that dominated news cycles around the world. Royal biographers scrambled to understand how such a massive secret had been kept for so long. Inspector Robert Fleming was assigned to investigate the authenticity of the documents Michael had found. His examination confirmed that everything was genuine. The letters, the photographs, the medical records, even the handwriting analysis matched samples of Diana's confirmed writing. Lady Catherine Ashworth, one of Diana's closest friends, came forward to confirm parts of Michael's story. She admitted that she had known about Diana's pregnancy in 1980, but had been sworn to secrecy. She revealed that Diana had struggled with the decision for months, torn between her desire to keep her child and her fear of what royal life would do to him. Diana was terrified, Lady Catherine told the press. She was so young, and she knew that if the royal family discovered she had given birth to a child before her marriage to Charles, it would destroy her chances of becoming Princess of Wales. But more than that, she was genuinely afraid for the child's safety. She believed that growing up in the public eye would be cruel to any child, and she wanted to spare him that burden. Dr. Patricia Caldwell, now 82 and living in retirement, also came forward to confirm her role in Michael's secret birth. She revealed that Diana had paid for Michael's medical care throughout his childhood, ensuring he had access to the best health care without ever revealing the source of the funding. Thomas Whitmore, Diana's former security advisor, admitted to his role in creating Michael's false identity. He explained that the operation had been conducted with military precision, designed to ensure that no trace could ever lead back to Diana. It was the most complex security operation I ever managed, Whitmore revealed. Diana was determined that her son would have a normal life free from the pressures and dangers that came with royal status. We created an entire background for him, complete with false documents and a carefully constructed family history. Michael found himself at the center of a media storm unlike anything he had ever experienced. Reporters camped outside his home, photographers followed him to work, and royal biographers begged for interviews. The quiet life he had always known was gone forever. But perhaps the most difficult aspect of his newfound fame was the question everyone was asking: would he meet his brother? Prince William and Prince Harry had both issued carefully worded statements acknowledging that they were processing this information and would respond appropriately in due time. But privately, sources close to the royal family suggested that both princes were eager to meet the brother they had never known existed. The meeting finally took place on a rainy afternoon in October 2024 at a private estate in the Scottish Highlands. Michael drove there alone, leaving Emma behind because he felt this was something he needed to do by himself. William arrived first, followed 20 minutes later by Harry. Both men looked nervous as they approached Michael, who was waiting in the estate's library. "You look like her," were William's first words. "Around the eyes especially. And your hands, they're exactly like our mother's hands." Harry was more emotional, tears evident in his eyes as he studied Michael's face. "I can't believe she kept this secret for so long. I can't believe we had a brother all this time and never knew." The three men spent 4 hours together, sharing stories about their mother and trying to understand the magnitude of what Diana had done. William and Harry were shocked to learn about the letters Diana had written, about her secret visits to see Michael, about the trust fund she had established for his future. "She protected you," William said, "the way she protected us, but even more so. She sacrificed her relationship with you to give you the one thing she could never give us, a normal childhood. Michael learned that Diana had spoken about him indirectly on several occasions. She had mentioned feeling guilty about the child she couldn't save from this life and had made cryptic comments about making choices that broke her heart but saved a life. Harry revealed that Diana had sometimes seemed sad on July 12th each year, Michael's birthday, though they had never understood why until now. "She never forgot you," Harry said. "Even when she couldn't be with you, you were always in her heart." The brothers agreed to maintain a relationship, but to keep it private for the time being. The royal family was still processing the revelation, and there were complex legal and constitutional issues to resolve regarding Michael's status. But for Michael, the most important question had been answered. He finally understood why his mother had given him up, and he could see that it hadn't been abandonment. It had been the ultimate act of love. Diana's secret had been kept for 44 years, hidden in an attic box until fate decided it was time for the truth to emerge. Michael Harrison had lived his entire life without knowing he was a prince, and in many ways that had been Diana's greatest gift to him. He had grown up free from the pressures that had shaped his brothers' lives, free from the scrutiny that had tormented their mother, free to become the man he chose to be, rather than the man protocol demanded. In protecting her secret son, Diana had given him the one thing she had always wished she could give William and Harry, the chance to live a normal life. The world now knew about Princess Diana's hidden first child, but Michael Harrison had discovered something even more valuable than his royal heritage. He had learned that his mother's love had been so powerful, so protective, that she had been willing to sacrifice her own happiness to ensure his freedom. In the end, Diana's secret had been worth keeping, and Michael's discovery of it had revealed the depths of a mother's love that transcended royal titles, public expectations, and even death itself. The box in Eleanor Harrison's attic had contained more than documents and photographs. It had contained proof that sometimes the greatest love requires the greatest sacrifice, and that a mother's protection can span decades, surviving even when the mother herself cannot. Michael Harrison was no longer just an architect from Edinburgh. He was Prince Michael, Diana's secret son, the brother who had been loved from afar and protected by the most famous woman in the world. And finally, after 44 years, he understood the extraordinary price his mother had paid to give him an ordinary life.